So, obviously I'm Kristen, this is Daniel, if you need introductions. But what we're gonna do is actually take you all through the story of how we met. Yay! And it was a little less than a year, and yeah, so it's kind of like a story. We kind of have our own perspectives, obviously, of like how that day went down for us. But yeah, it's a really cool story, and it just kind of shows like the intentionality of God.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to go first? You want to tell your story? He says his is going to be short and sweet. So let's see how short and sweet.
Wow, you're so beautiful, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my story is going to be very short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And so the day we met was November 20th, and it was at this store that's downtown Royal Oak, and she was actually one of the vendors, and it was actually a week after I launched my clothing brand, and one of my friends, told me to come up to the store, bring a hoodie, just get more exposure because I just launched a clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a clothing store, and there was a lot of people there that were going to be at the pop-up and things like that, and different vendors. And so I initially didn't want to go, but I'm very blessed that I did go. But I did not want to go because, one, I was tired. I just found out that it was a Sunday, so obviously like after church you get really sleepy, you just want to chill and relax after just pouring out all morning. So so I went, and it was great, mingled, talked to a couple of people, walked around and things like that, and her vendor booth was in a corner. So as soon as you walk through the doors, her booth is right there in this corner area. And as I'm walking around, I walked to this booth. She obviously wasn't there, and I was looking around. I had seen this shirt.
Obviously wasn't there. This was like hours after the event started, and I went to go mingle with the other vendors. So you can't say like obviously I wasn't there.
Well, you weren't there to see me at that particular moment. So I see this shirt that she has, the button up, has different colors and things like that on it, and I liked it a lot. And so I'm looking at the shirt, and then here she comes, and she, obviously we're talking and things like that. I end up buying the shirt, and then we ended up obviously having a conversation, as she say, telling my life story or my business or whatever. But I was just telling her about me though, like, just kind of introducing me and letting her know, like, because like it was, those pop-ups are kind of networking a little bit too. So just kind of explaining to her what I do, who I am, where I'm from, and what I am passionate about. And so for me, I feel like that's important, especially when you approach someone you don't know, either a man or a woman. You can let someone in about yourself. It's not like you're telling them, your darkest secrets or anything like that, but you're giving them a front row seat of who you truly are. And so for me, like, that was important for me, especially because I found her attractive as well, and so I knew that she was, obviously cute and things like that. But I also wanted to keep it strictly business, because I didn't want her to think that I bought a shirt to talk to her or to get in, to get in the door. And like, because honestly, like, that's probably the cheesiest way you can do something to talk to a woman, but that's just my preference. So, so that's how I feel like we met. And
I would say, like, obviously it's very similar to his story. It was a pop-up shop, so yes, I was a vendor for my boutique, and I also, like, literally did not want to go for some reason. Like, it's like he said, it was a Sunday. I was exhausted, and like prepping to be the vendor for these like pop-up shops is obviously like super difficult. You're loading things, you're lugging things. Like, I am 1'5" girl, and it's like a lot. So I did all of that, and I was driving. I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, like, how can I get out of this? Like, how can I get out of like not going? Because I really don't feel like it. And she was like, well, you already made the commitment. Like, just go. Like, it'll be a good time. It'll be worth it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So on the way there, I called my cousin at the last minute and I was like, hey, like, what are you doing? I'm about to pick you up so you can come with me and come help me. And he agreed because that's how we are. And so I went, I picked him up, we were there. And actually, I feel like the event also got like kind of a slow start. Like, so it started, I think, at 1 o'clock, and like it didn't pick up until like maybe 3:30. Yeah, and so yeah, so it was like me being tired, not wanting to go, kind of having a small attitude because I'm like, I don't know, I just didn't feel it. And you know, like when you're in business too, like you have to feel like you want to be on, like you want to be like, you know, personable and salesy and like, but not so, you know, like just like on. And so I was like, I really didn't have it in me. And so yeah, so like you said, like at that time, like a couple hours in, I was like, all right, cool. Like it's not a lot going on. Like, let me go around. So I walked around to all of the other vendors. Obviously, like you said too, it's a great networking opportunity. So you can meet other people in business. You can, you know, share more about your business, all that good stuff, right? So then,
exactly what I was doing.
Yeah. So then I come back to my booth and he's there and he's like standing off like kind of to the side of it. Like you said, it was in a corner. So he's like standing to the side and he was like, oh, like I like that shirt. It was hanging up on the wall. And I was like, oh, thanks. He's like, yeah, like, do you have my size? I'm like, sure, I think so. So I go, I take it down, he tries it on, and then he comes back out. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like, it looks nice or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he, like, takes it off. He's like, okay, I'll buy it. And I was like, all right, cool, great, you know?
Right, I'll buy it. I didn't ask what the price was.
No, yeah, you just said you buy it. I could have charged you.
Wow.
But I was, what is the word? I had integrity, so I didn't like upcharge him, even though he didn't ask me how much it was. He just said, I'll buy it. And so, yeah. And so, you know, as we do with like the whole little transaction thing or whatever, I kid you not, he's making light of it, but I kid you not, he told me his whole life story. Like, he was like, yeah, so like my name is Daniel, this is where I go to church, this is where I grew up, like this is what I do right now, like this is what ministry I like youth ministry, I like prison ministry. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, okay, you know, like cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like one of those like conversations that like, it like.
One, unique. Two, no man has ever done that.
No. But it also was like, you just talked. You know, like it wasn't like a back and forth. Mm-hmm. It was just you like, yeah, like, and then like, I went, you know, to this church here, then I'm like, I grew up in Waterford, and you know, blah, blah, and I'm just like, okay.
Well, like, she was like asking me, she's like, oh, like, where are you from? Or like, oh, like, what do you do? And oh,
I didn't ask any of that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I don't recall asking anything.
See,
I
need a video recorder.
I recall being silent.
And you were around her?
And this man was just like, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so
he got you here, though.
It got me here.
Yeah. Clap, everybody. Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, so all that happened, we did it. And then we ended up exchanging business Instagrams because he was telling me about the brand that he had just launched and all of that stuff or whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. So then we do that, and then he walks away, and then my cousin, who is like literally basically like a sibling to me, so he knows me very well, and Daniel walked away, and my cousin goes like, you like him, don't you? And I was like, well, I kind of feel like I know him, like I feel like I know his whole life. I'm intrigued, like maybe, low key. And he was like, yeah, like you do, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know, it could. Who knows? Like, because literally I thought I would just never, ever see him again. Like, it was like one of those things that was like, okay, we had an interaction. And like you said, it wasn't very, like, pursuit-like, you know, it was just very conversational and very organic and very natural. So, like, it was like, I may talk to him, but I probably a 95% chance that I won't. You know, it's like one of those things when we kind of like left it off. So yeah, that's like, I would think like how that day went. And then when he left, I'm like, all right,
yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you later.
And then after that, I think, did you find my personal page first? I think so.
I don't really remember. I think I did though because
Yeah.
I was trying to like see like more pictures of you.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we didn't talk for like at all.
Yeah.
At that point.
No. We and then like it kind of just became like light conversation over Instagram and just kind of like, you know, like
Because your boy was trying to find the right opportunity.
yeah. And it was just like little stuff. So like I remember I had asked this question on my stories and it was like, oh, like it was something about working out and like, you know, like how do you get energy or something when you work out? And then he responded and he was like, oh, like, yeah, I do this and there's a pre-workout, there's a protein powder, like blah, 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 all this stuff or whatever.
See, find conversations that you would like to have conversations about.
Yeah.
Find the window and be patient.
Yeah. And that was literally that over a month, I would say. Over a month later from when we met. And so yeah, it was just normal. And then we you got the news that his brand was actually going to be launching in that same store. And so you put that on Instagram or whatever. So I DM'd you. I was like, oh, like, congratulations. Yeah. Like, that's so dope. I'm proud of you, whatever, right? And I was. Because I was like, that's cool. Like, that's really dope. And he had a like a launch day for that. And so I told him, I was like, oh, like, I'm going to, like, you supported me. Like, I'm going to come support you. And I'll come to, you know, your grand launch. It's not opening, but, you know, your grand launch or whatever. And I'll buy my hoodie, like, put mine to the side or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So I did all that. So then let me also add this addendum into this part because that was also a Sunday. It was the new year. It was January 1st of this year, 2023. Yeah. And so I went to church, right? And in that service, they were talking about like just basically like having grandiose prayers. Like, you know, obviously praying for what you want to see happen in your day-to-day life, but then just like out of the box, like something huge, something big or whatever, right? So they gave us these little cards. I'm still working on trying to find it because it's like so important to me. But like, they're like, write like your really big prayer on it. And my prayer was, I think it said, I desire to get married to the man God has for me in 2023. Okay? So like at this point, I'm single, obviously. And so we hadn't like had personal conversations or anything like that. So like, yeah. So that was that Sunday at church. And then I went to go to the store. I walk in. He does not recognize me. He does not know who I am. Mind you, I do know I change my hairstyles all the time. So I had.
Well, she had a hat on. She had a coat on. Like,
I had a wig on.
She just had braids.
Yeah, and I had a wig on.
Like 2 months ago, or no, a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And she was very far away, and like I wasn't really like paying attention neither. Like my mind was just like roaming just on different other things. And so like when she had came in, I just thought, oh, it's like just a regular customer or whatever.
You know, regular person.
And so like she's looking around or whatever, and she sees me, she's like, oh, look at him. I'm like, oh yeah. Because like, you know, I always say this, like, you know, when people say like they're gonna show up somewhere and they don't show up.
Yeah.
So there was no expectation for her, because I'm like,
you just let me off the hook. You're like, whatever
type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, there was many people that were supposed to show up that day that didn't show up, but she actually showed up and actually stood her ground and kept her word. So I really appreciated that. Yeah. And she bought the hoodie and she was looking good that day too.
I didn't ask how much it was. And I was like,
good. Yeah. Looking good. Dang. Yeah, she was looking good that day too.
And that's funny because like I had no makeup on that day. Like
Baby, you don't need makeup.
I know you say that all the time. But it was like one of those days where I just felt like, you know, just like I'm not looking great. But I was like, you know, I'm cute, obviously. I don't need makeup to be cute. But yeah.
Beautiful and gorgeous.
Okay. Well, his side. Anyways, so we do that. We do the exchange again or whatever, and then we take our first picture. I'll like insert it somewhere so y'all can see
first picture.
Yeah. And so yeah, so that was really cute.
You were my first customer too.
Was it really for the day?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
Yay! I think you were mine too, Loki. Because nobody was there. It was just us vendors looking at each other.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. So yeah, so we did that, and then we kind of like chatted a little bit after the fact, and then I think you said something like, "Oh, like here was the protein like I was talking about in your stories." And you like pulled it up on Google or whatever, and then you were like, yeah, like, and he took a screenshot, and he was like, I can like either airdrop this to you or I can text it to you.
Let's pause. Pause, silence.
Moment of silence for this really slick line, and I was like, So I literally, oh, the spider is back. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, y'all. So I literally had to make a split-second decision of like, am I gonna give this man my number, or should I just have him like airdrop, you know, this to me or whatever? And I was like, oh, you can text it to me.
You like that, man? Yeah.
And so, because I had to think about it like really fast, and you didn't really give me a lot of time.
No.
And so I thought about it, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, you know, so I gave him my number, and he texted it to me. And yeah, that was kind of like it. And then it was like, you know, a thank you for supporting me, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And yeah.
That was really it.
Yep.
And then really history from there, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like a week and a half later, because like I have a really bad habit of sometimes like reading messages and not responding to them. So I like responded to like the last thing that he had said, and I apologized. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you know, it's my
this
bad.
was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks later.
Like, girl, you know you want to text me back.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, so I like responded, and I was like, oh, my bad or whatever. And then he was like, oh no, look, it's cool. And I don't know if we said much after that.
Because like honestly, like even like the 2 weeks, like I just had like no expectation at that time.
Yeah.
For anyone.
Yeah.
Because like before I met her, I told God that I would wait until he gave me the green light to pursue someone that he put in front of me.
Same.
So like for me, like at that time was no expectation whatsoever, because like how can I be mad at someone I have no expectations for?
Right.
Or be irritated, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
totally.
And like that's why like I don't know, like I feel like I'm a cool, understanding person, which like a lot of people know is that like I'm very understanding than most people.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said sorry, like that really, I appreciated that a lot because
sorry, yeah.
Because like you didn't have to say sorry, because again I didn't have any expectation, you know, whatsoever. But the apology and things like that, and that because she said that she was going to record my hoodie and a reel of her that she was going to take pictures while she was in the airport going to Atlanta with her mom and her aunt. And so when she did all that, and then also she did apologize, that really meant a lot to me, because one, that showed me that one, you can keep your word even though you really don't have to, but two, you can own up to when you know your own self know that like when you know you were in the wrong, and that you could have done better with communicating that. And so that really stuck out to me, and I really appreciated that, because again I had no expectations. And with that being said, it's like I wouldn't have, if you apologize or not, I wouldn't have been necessarily mad at you, you know. But for you to do that, it kind of put me in a different mindset, and like, no, like, okay, like, yeah, she could have like said something, or like she could have done this, but I mean we weren't really talking at the time anyway. But for you to do that while we're not even talking, to acknowledge that really meant a lot to me. So I really appreciated that. But
I'm glad. Thank you, babe. But yeah, and so like he said, like I had told him that same day, and I was like, oh, like I have a cool like idea for a reel, and you know, again, pictures, because he was asking, I think, like for pictures for the hoodie. I wanted pictures like when you wore the shirt and stuff like that. And then I was going to Atlanta from I think Thursday to Sunday, or Friday to Monday, something like that, or whatever, like a long weekend or whatever. And I was telling him that, like, oh yeah, like I'm going to Atlanta, my mom and everything, like you said. And he was like, we should meet for lunch when you get back. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, why do you love to do that?
I was like, I love to.
Yeah.
And then I recorded that reel and took the pictures. I had a flight. It was like a 6 a.m. flight or 6:30 or whatever. So I had to be at the airport around 4:45. And I was literally still recording that reel in my office at 11:40. And so I'm like, this is like taking all night. And obviously, like, if you know anything about like outfit reels and you want transitions and you want all of the things, like, it was a lot. And I didn't feel like doing it after I'd already said that I was going to do it, I didn't feel like doing it anymore. Because it was just a lot of work. I had more packing to do. You know, like, I was like, the timing wasn't great. I shouldn't have said it like that day. I should have said it another day. But anyways, we made it work. And the reel came out really cool and stuff. And so I sent that to him at like 5:30 in the morning. And he was up already, like, getting ready for work and stuff. And we talked literally the entire weekend.
Every minute.
Every minute.
Every hour.
Every hour.
Every night.
Every night. And like multiple conversations too. So you know, like in iPhones how you can reply? Like it'd be like,
oh my gosh. I low key, like, there was one point at a time, like, there's so many things I have to reply back to. And I was so glad that we don't do that anymore. But like literally there was different conversations for each one.
Yes, literally.
And
whole conversation.
Obviously I wanted to reply, but I'm like, okay, I gotta reply to this one, and this one, and this one, and this one.
Yes, that's how I felt. And I was at a whole conference, you know? So I'm like, so I couldn't just reply to one, you know? Like, and I was like, okay, well, if I just reply to one, then you think I'm ignoring him on 4 other conversations. So it was a lot. Yeah, and but we did it, and then we ended up meeting for dinner the following Tuesday, and literally now from there, like, the rest is history. He asked me to be his girlfriend a month later. A week after that, February 14th on Valentine's Day, we got all dressed up and went to this really gorgeous dinner, and yeah, and then
I met her, my girl.
Yeah, met his family, literally, and then a week after that, we went to New York. And then a week after that, or 2 weeks after that, I think, we went to Cincinnati, met all my family, and yeah.
That was a really great time.
Really great time. So that was just kind of like an overview of our starts to, like, not even now, because I feel like we have to go through like our engagement story and like now we're married, obviously now.
Yes.
So how we got there, but yeah, that was just like our start though, like where we came from.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
love you, baby.
I love you too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was it. We just wanted to share that with you guys.
That was it.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it, I don't know,
interesting,
comical, hope maybe a little inspiring to just like
comment below on what your thoughts are, and
but also if God tells you you have to be somewhere and you don't want to
be there,
go there.
Be there or be square.
Literally.
All right.
Yeah. So that's it. Like you said. Like you said, make sure you comment down below on anything, whatever your favorite part was, or if you can relate in any way. We would love to read your comments, and look out for our next video.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Super excited.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.